And it's about interest in raves. So you can see that it's just, a rave's a party or something like that, okay? So I mean, when you got words being used like that, that's just a generic putting the words of the thing.
This sentence in I say what you have to write, Cohen or Howard?
Cohen or who, sorry?
Howard. Who mentioned we have?
Okay. In that case there, so what Valvin's asked is if he wants to use that quote. Okay? Where's that quote come from?
Cohen 9.
So the person that wrote the quote, the person whose ideas it is Cohen, yes. But where did Valvin read it from? Howard. So it's kind of like what we're talking about is you are creating a roadmap. People will read your work, summary, your views on it, and then you provide a way for them to follow up on those ideas. So to say that you got from Cohen would be inaccurate, because you didn't just read Cohen. You would read it as Howard, and this is how you... Page what?
Page
358.
358. So you have provided a pathway, you have shown where you've got this from, and done that. Do you know what I mean? So that tells the person. And then if you're doing this, and you're writing your essay, you would then, and you can get the Cohen source at the back here, because it's got Cohen 1972 there. You'd write this one, and you'd also write Howard. Okay? But Valvin, you'd make kind of, what you'd try and want to know though is this a good enough quote for you to use? You know what I mean? Is it important enough for you to use this, without, for us that's a lot of extra work, and also having to just make this writing. This is firstly. Secondly, I've read these people's works, and this is what I think they were saying on this issue. Okay, that's your paraphrasing. And then you put your brackets. You don't need to show any quotes there because you're trying to put people's words and ideas into your own words. Okay, and that's why I really encourage you to read 2 or 3 people. Because if you're reading one person and go, an archetypal backpacker tourist is young, travels cheaply for long periods, and then that's the only one you've got, and you say, a typical backpacker tourist is young, travels for not much, for a long time, then you're not really changing. You're mixing a few words, but you're not really changing the substance of what they've said. So that's why it's better to read 2 or 3 people's ideas and then come in. Remember what we're doing with Maslow, motivation of hierarchy, looking at 2 or 3 people. Okay, and we're looking and thinking about so thinking about the link between tourists and transportation, thinking about it and looking at it in terms of how the needs are for the consumer. Remember, I mean, as we said, if we think of the tourist, I mean, essentially the tourist is no different from anybody else in terms that their leisure needs are being met, or the reason why they're traveling is that aspect of distance, time away. So in that aspect, transportation is quite a vital factor in thinking about, the needs of the tourist. And they're very much on, often set times. Obviously with backpackers, it's been a little bit different. I mean, backpackers are someone that usually, in terms of when they're traveling, they could be taking a year out or something like that. But still, if they've booked, or if they've got a plane or a bus or something booked at a certain amount of time, then that needs to be there for them, sort of things. So